Time is exactly 24 minutes to 8. You're listening to Good Morning Scotland with Martin Geisler and Lucy White. Now, as we've been reporting extensively this morning, the Scottish Government is coming under fire over its plans to end our reliance on fossil fuels for heating our homes. The aim is to supercharge Scotland's drive to net zero by convincing us to scrap our old oil and gas boilers and install climate-friendly alternatives like heat pumps instead. But the leading businessman and Labour peer, Lord Willie Haughey, has questioned the plan, despite the fact that his company is one of the country's leading suppliers of heat pumps. He joins me now. Good morning, Lord Haughey.
Good morning, Mark.
Thanks very much for being in the programme. I have to say, I read your comments in, I think it was the Sunday Herald, one of the Sunday papers this weekend, and I was slightly taken aback. I mean, there was almost a touch of the Gerald Ratners about this. You were pretty aggressively steering people away from your product. Why?
I don't think I'd compare it with the Gerald Ratner situation, but no, the simple reason is it is not feasible to think for 1 minute that a heat pump is an alternative heat source. And if anyone thinks that everyone wants to do their bit, to get to carbon zero, but there's no way that you could say that a heat pump does anything to reduce your footprint.
Why?
Because they'll probably use more. It still plugs into the grid. It's run by electricity. So how can Patrick Harvie say that he's going to give someone a superior energy certificate because they've got a heat pump when it does nothing to reduce?
Well, for example, Lord Haughey, I'm not on mains gas where I live, and I've got a 1,000-litre oil tank sitting in my back garden that oil is poured into, and that's why I burn in my boiler, because I've got no alternative at the moment. I looked at getting a heat pump in my old house. It probably wouldn't be economically viable at the moment, but at least it would reduce the carbon footprint compared to people who are burning oil and gas, wouldn't it?
You're an exception. How many people do you think have got a big oil tank in the back?
About 170,000.
Yeah, so there's how many million houses in the UK?
Right, so in Scotland, about 2.7 million, I think.
Right, so there you go. So most people, the whole problem here is that this was to drive people off of gas boilers, which is by far the majority in the UK. And it's dead simple. To change from a gas boiler to an electric boiler would maybe cost you £600 more. And if we spent the money that we'd spend on a heat pump and insulating the house, you would by far reduce your carbon footprint more.
Why do you sell these things if they're no use?
Because it's simple. I sell them for what they're designed for. I sell them as air conditioning units.
But you're saying they don't work in cold countries then?
Yeah. No, I'm saying, what I'm saying is someone's got, people get carried away, journalists get carried away with the technicalities about low temperatures. The bottom line is that what we use heat pumps for in the UK and what you've used them for the past 40 years is for a system where people need cooling in the summer and heat in the winter, and that's what they call it, a heat pump. Right? They were never designed...
So they do heat your house?
Sorry?
So they do heat your house?
Yeah, but not the way that they're saying that it's going to reduce your carbon footprint. They do, but you'll be using more energy. So it's going to be more costly. So technically, you're asking me, so technically it is wrong to call a heat pump an alternative heat source for replacing a gas boiler.
We were just hearing from WWF Scotland earlier in the programme who were saying that 60% of buildings in Norway use heat pumps. I mean, you were saying they'd stop working under -5. How does that square?
Different types of heat pumps. The heat pumps that we have been installing here, as I say, were all designed for when you needed a dual system for heating and cooling.
So you can get a different kind of heat pump that will work efficiently in low temperature, just not the ones that you sell.
No, the temperatures that we have for your requirement is the bottom line is if you live in a block of flats today and your heat source was changed from a gas boiler to a heat pump, if you look at all the science behind that, become the end of the year, you will have done nothing to reduce your carbon footprint.
So here's the thing, right? So I'd swap my petrol car. I swapped my petrol car for an electric car, because I thought that would reduce emissions. I stopped burning solid fossil fuel and I've started using electricity to power my car. My carbon footprint is now substantially down. Does the same logic not follow in my house?
Well, that's what people tell you. So if you think that by moving to electric, that's your carbon footprint, decreased by whatever probably gas there's a 40% of the electricity that is probably produced by gas, right? So it's not what people say. It's a sales pitch. So I'm saying, but if we stick to heat pumps, the bottom line is what this debate about is that, and I've said it, I will have a debate with anyone, right, who wants to say that the merits of maybe it costing the average household 5 times the amount of money to install a heat pump, maybe 3 to 4 times a year for maintenance costs as against an electric. I believe we've got to get away from gas boilers. And I'm saying that if the Greens want to talk about a green economy, here is an absolute opportunity to set up manufacturing in Scotland, produce electric boilers. Let me say to you, if Scottish Power and SSE can say in all their marketing that all utility that they supply into Scotland comes from renewables, surely that's a major tick in the box. Why do I then not spend the money that the government are encouraging me to spend on a heat pump and insulation and double glazing? There's a double win.
Yeah, I mean, your argument is not, and the way it's been reported is not terribly nuanced, because you're just saying these don't work in houses. What we've been hearing from listeners this morning, and what we know, I think, from the past, is that actually it depends what kind of house you're in. In an old house with cavity walls, with not much insulation and all the rest of it, it might be very expensive to run one of these things. In a modern house with well-insulated walls, a heat pump might well be the answer. It might work perfectly and brilliantly and reduce your carbon footprint, might it not?
It's not.
Because people have been getting in touch with us and saying they're delighted with their heat pumps. And, by the way, there's a 50% grant. 15 grand it costs to install a heat pump. You can get half of that money from the Scottish Government, and the rest of it they'll give you in an interest-free loan.
Yeah, so you've got £8,000 of debt that you don't need for something that will not work.
Well, if it saves you money on your bills, and plenty of people say it does, then you get it back in the long term, don't you?
I'll guarantee in the long term it won't. If you add up all the bills, it will not save them money. I will guarantee you that.
Is this political, Lord Haughey? We did mention that you're a Labour peer, and you were saying this is the Greens just punting their rhetoric.
No, I think you're trying to make it political.
I'm just asking you. I'm not making it anything. Just asking you if there's a political agenda.
But what I'm saying is everything I say you're coming back on. So what I'm saying is, this is a technical argument, nothing to do with politics. I would be saying this if it was Labour.
But so you're saying, just to get this absolutely straight, you're saying that a heat pump will not, no matter your house, no matter your insulation, a heat pump will not save you bills, and it won't cut down your carbon footprint.
I'm saying, in occasions it may do. I am saying that an electric boiler will do absolutely much more than that if we spent the money more efficiently in an insulation house rather than a heat pump.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, do you make... I'm bound to ask this. Do you make a lot of money selling these things? Because it doesn't sound to me like you believe very much in your product.
It's a small part of what we do, Martin. It used to be a big part of what we do. So it's not a rat in a moment if that's what you're trying to turn it into.
No, I'm not. I listen, that comparison was...
That's what you are. That's what you are doing, yeah.
I'm genuinely not. I was slightly flippant, I have to say, when I drew that comparison at the start. It was just somebody saying that they didn't believe that their product...
Yeah, that's the point I was making. You were being flippant. It's a technical debate, and what I've told you here is scientific, so it's not political. And it doesn't go against my business. I sell plenty of heat pumps for the right application, not for domestic heating systems.
OK, well, listen, this is really interesting stuff, and it helps inform our discussion this morning, Lord Haughey. If you thought I was being flippant at the start of this, that wasn't my intention at all. And we've got lots of interesting ammunition to put to Patrick Harvey when he comes on the programme in about 20 minutes' time. So thank you very much indeed for your time, Lord Willie Haughey there.